Today's film answers the burning question that all of us have. What if you took Jaws but replaced the shark with a humanoid fish monster who has a lust for human women? No? You didn't have that question? That's just me? Well, anyways, today's film is Humanoids from the Deep. And the reason I'm talking about this film today is not only because it's a masterpiece of trash cinema, but it was also produced by Roger Corman, who sadly recently passed away. Now, he was a legend, and I've been on a Roger Corman kick for about the entire month of May. And this is one that I watched recently, and it blew my mind. This film is 80 minutes of non-stop, absolute bonkers scenes.
Oh, shit! Why me?
But it does fill with a less than savory topic, you could say fishy. So if you want to see this video uncensored, do like all these amazing people and go subscribe to my Patreon.
You can make it feel a lot better.
Without further ado, let's get into the fish monsters. Well, actually, the fish monsters, if you're a woman, will get into you, but we'll talk about that in details later. From the start, this movie doesn't waste any time telling us the plot. You have this character named Jim, played by Doug McClure, and what he does, I'm not really certain. At first I thought he was the mayor, but then the mayor is like this older, fatter dude, so Jim is just some guy. Then you have this fisherman named Hank Slattery, and Hank Slattery is the bad dude, because he supports a cannery being built in this fishing town. By the way, this is a SoCal fishing town. However, Johnny Eagle, who's a Native American, doesn't approve of what they want to do with the cannery. And then a crew goes fishing and they catch something, but it's way too big for the net. Sadly, at the same time, the boat is having difficulties. But the fish or the fishes are way too big, so they need everyone to help with the net, including the child. And that's where I knew I was gonna love this movie. The first victim of this movie is some red-headed child falling into the river and being eaten by the fish monsters, followed, because if that wasn't crazy enough, by a boat explosion. That's in the first 5 minutes. After that, we get the sheriff talking to Jim about the possibilities of something happening. Then the sheriff is like, it could be that native boy. He didn't use the word native. Nobody does in this movie. That was the 80s, it was acceptable back then. But Jim kind of likes Johnny. In fact, the only people who really hate Johnny are the ones that sell themselves out to this big company. And he's like, do you really think he'd blow up a boat? Then the sheriff's like, you never know. And then the dog is acting weird, and then they're sending the dog outside. But that's where this movie might lose a couple people. Don't worry, they were now real dogs, but pretty much the next sequence is a dog slaughter. You don't see the killing, but the next day a lot of dogs are dead, except Johnny Eagle's dog, which makes Hank Slattery, because he's kind of racist, think to himself, well, that native boy clearly killed all of our dogs to get at us. Later that night, there's this little salmon fest party thingy at like the local community center with a band, and everyone's there, including the big evil businessman who want to build the cannery on the lake. Maybe it goes on a lake. I don't know what a cannery is, to be honest. It's something. I don't know. In between that, we meet some horn dog characters, because this is a Corman production, it needs a lot of TNA, and oh boy do we get a lot of that. Well, you know, just flirt, dance, and then two of them stay in the car to have some sexa time. I don't know why I did that, that was cringe. Wow. And so they do, and during that time, the big businessman goes and makes a speech about how he's a big businessman and he can save the town because he can produce, with the help of this science lady, a bunch of salmon. And then Johnny Eagle shows up with his dog who's died. Because Hank and his crew, it's kind of implied that they kill his dog in revenge. Johnny isn't happy about it, and he announces that he will bring them to court. With the help of a big California lawyer, he's gonna prove that the fishing spot the lake, I guess that's how you call it. Yeah, it's a lake. The body of water is actually under like native land laws. And Hank Slattery isn't too happy about that. So instead of hiring a defense lawyer, he plans with his boys to firebomb Johnny Eagle's house, as any respectable businessman will do.
Oh, come on. Show me more than the head.
But in between that, the movie remembers that it's a Roger Corman joint, so we need to see the monsters. And it's not like Jaws where you have to wait to see the monster. You don't have character development, you don't have building a plot. You just want to see the monsters. And the monster design, by the way, is sublimino. So our couple that were making out in the car, but they were disturbed because there was a big fight with Johnny Eagle. They go at the beach, they have a lot of fun. The lady is gorgeous, and they get attacked by the fish man. Of course, the fish people will kill the man and, you know, stick it in the ladies. Sometimes causing their death. When you think about it, this movie's really messed up. If it wasn't so goofy, it would be really disturbing.
Hey honey, wanna see my woodpecker?
And then we get one of the most unrealistic scenes of this film where this ventriloquist has intercourse with a woman. Like a real woman. Not a blow-up doll. And of course, we get more fish on women action. The effects are great, by the way. So after the, movie remembered that it was a Corman production, it decides to go back to the main plot.
Well, let's get out of here.
Jim's kid, brother, I'm not too sure. They go with a girl to Johnny Eagle's house, and they have barbecue, they drink a couple beers, because there's a lot of beer drinking in this film. It is about fishermen. They get attacked. Well, the house gets attacked. Slattery guys didn't know there were actually other people than Native Americans in the house, or else they would have probably done something else, because again, they're racist. So they firebomb the house, and to make things worse, the fishmen decide that it's time to attack. So Jim's brother gets properly messed up by this, and he goes into shock or coma or whatever, while Johnny Eagle tries to fight the fish monsters, and then Jim's brother's girlfriend, this is getting complicated, she runs away. With a truck, so she drives away. My brain doesn't work. But she gets attacked by a fish monster while she drives away, which leads to an accident that is insanely cartoonish. Because again, this was a Corman production. Then usually in a movie, that's where you'd be like, okay, they're gonna, slow down and get to the scientific jargon, which they do for not so long. So basically, everybody in town is worried about where the people that were killed by the fishmen went. A lot of them still don't know yet that there are murderous fish people, other than Johnny Eagle. He pulls up in his boat, and there's Jim's brother's carcass, basically, even though he's not dead, but his body. Everybody, of course, thinks that Johnny Eagle killed him. I don't know why. He doesn't have murderous tendencies. He just got into a fight because somebody killed his dog. I understand. I would do the same. Until Jim shows up and basically tells people, you really think this dude is so hardcore that he's gonna blow up a boat, kill a bunch of people, kill a bunch of dogs? No, there's clearly something wrong going on. And of course, in typical movie fashion, everybody's like, nah, I don't believe that. He's telling us that they're fish monsters. However, I have to applaud this film because the characters are like, nah, that's impossible. Then Jim talks sense into them, and they still don't believe about the fish monsters, but they do believe that all of this is strange. During that time, the doctor, scientist lady, is there with Johnny Eagle, asking him a lot of questions. Then Jim takes the ring, and he's like, I want to go to the sea to find who did all of this. And everybody's like, nah. So they're basically scared, other than the scientist lady, and of course, Johnny Eagle, because he wants to defend his name. So they go on an adventure to try to find the fish man. And luckily for us, they find the lair of the fish people, which is one of my favorite scenes. And again, the effects are incredible. And there they also find the remnants, and she's still alive, of Susie, one of the girls that got attacked by a fish monster. I kind of forgot. Eventually, the scientist lady has taken enough pictures and enough samples so they can go away, which they do, and then we get the science-y little jargon thing. But unlike another Jaws ripoff, this film's like, yeah, we'll give you the scientific jargon for like 5 minutes, blah 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 blah. And then my favorite cut of the film, the scientist lady is basically like, I'm gonna let the citizen of this town know about this, and then the two, Johnny Eagle and Jim, turns to each other and they're like, oh shit, the festival. Then it cuts to the salmon festival, and then maybe 2 minutes later they pull up with the boat, they have a perfect proof of the fishman, and then shit goes chaotic and it's glorious. It's basically the last 20 minutes.
Festival.
I'm not kidding you people about the pacing of this film. Intro part, just an hour. You get all the characters, you get all the action, and then you get the final sequence that is amazing. People are being thrown around, just drowned, killed by fish monsters, penetrated by the fish monsters. The fish monsters are getting shot, the townies are getting together, hitting the fish monsters with pieces of woods, and people are falling off the docks. Of course, our characters are all heroes, so they're saving kids from the fish monsters. And then Jim's wife is at home, she's, you know, unconscious about what's going on around her, and she turns into a badass fish monster killer. It's just amazing. I love this film so much. And then of course the ending is this ripoff of Aliens, where the lady that they found in the lair of the fish monster is of course pregnant, and she gives birth through her stomach of a fish monster. Thank you, Roger Corman. I know you didn't write this, I know you didn't direct this, but you made it happen. And for that, I will be forever grateful. Not only for this film, but for mostly all of your filmography. Thank you so much, Roger. From the bottom of my heart, as a film fan, as an exploitation nerd, as a horror nerd, I thank you, the Lord Corman. So, what did I think about Humanoids from the Deep? By the way, awesome still book. You probably saw this in my last collection update, but I just had to show it off because it's so beautiful. This is, again, the designs of the fish monster is so great. I love this movie. You could have probably guessed, since I basically did this one take because I was so excited. I haven't catched my breath yet. I love this movie. Like I said, the biggest point of this film, like the biggest positive, is the pacing, and that's just a Roger Corman production thing. I've just realized that this month I've been watching a lot of things. We've covered 2 of his on the podcast, and it's just, they're quick, they get in, they get out, they show you the goods, you're happy about them. It's just amazing. And honestly, the characters are well written in this. This is a fairly well written Jaws ripoff. You still have, you know, the douchey companies, the mayor who doesn't really care, he just wants his city to bring in raking cash. And then you have the opposite of that, as Johnny Eagle and Jim were kind of working together to, you know, put down the man, and it's just great. But, you know, like his wife, who becomes a badass at the end, she starts, you know, scared, you know, worried about everything, and then she turns into a badass. And it's just an amazing film. There's nothing really negative I have with this film. Maybe some of the acting isn't great, but come on, you're not here for the acting. Mainly the people who are great actors are the people that are clearly there just for visual treats. Hot women. But honestly, they're not too bad. The little couple that are always like horn dogs, they're iffy, both of them, you know, they're eye candy, but like the other characters are fairly good. But yeah, I really like this film. It was a rediscovery, because I've watched this a couple of years ago and didn't really care for it. No, I just enjoy films like this. This is pure sleaze trash to its finest, and to its more, you know, it's sleaze and trash to its purest. It's like this perfect, pure cut diamond of trash. So yeah, it gets a thumbs up from me. A high recommendation. Anyways, Thank you for watching. Again, if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, thank you to my 4 members, who I will remember off the top of my head. There's Peppa Shock, People's Mikey, Steve Sharkowski, I'm sorry for messing up your name, I'll write it there, and of course Adjacent Voorhees. And if you want to join them, link is in description. See you guys later.